Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Chakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Barakatah Yahweh, Time, Chance, and Judgment. And pretty much this is a lesson just based off the scriptures and dealing with different empires that govern and rule on the planet and how they have a time and a place for rulership. I was reading a little something in the book of Job and a couple of precepts that I ran across, kind of jotted down, and other precepts came, so I wrote them down and building a lesson based around that time, chance, and judgment, because this devil's time is up, man. His rulership is pretty much finished. It's time for him to go down, because the final analysis for everything is the destruction, which is the judgment that the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is going to bring upon Esau, which is a so-called white man, Salakia. This is Isaiah 13:22. And the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces, and the time is near to come, and the days shall not be prolonged. So this is the end of the story there. That's the end of Babylon the Great. That's the end of the rulerships of the world, the different world empires that were supposed to rule. That's the final analysis, that the last kingdom to rule on the earth, which is Esau, with their capital being America, which the scriptures call Babylon the Great, will be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. And they've had their time to rule. See, everything is set up in time frames. Let's go real quick to the book of Job 9:19 and 29. It says, "Be ye afraid of the sword, for wrath bringeth the punishment of the sword, that you may know there is a judgment." So it says, be ye afraid of the sword. What does the sword represent? Destruction. For wrath bringeth the punishment of the sword, because destruction is coming. It says that you may know that there is a judgment, because man on the earth is not going to judge himself, and the man that's ruling this earth, which are the wicked, are the Edomites. So they're not going to judge in righteousness. They're not going to give sentence of right things, unless it's something that happens to be a judgment that benefits them. So the Most High said that you may know there is a judgment. So there is a judgment coming, because everything that's written in the scriptures is written out, in prophecy for, the destruction of this society to come, because the end of their rulership is at hand. Now let's go from there to the book of Ecclesiastes 9:11. "I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet men to favor of skill, nor yet favor to men of skill." So none of these things can help an individual either stay in power or get into power. The Most High is the one that gives that power. It says, "But time and chance happeneth to them all." So every empire that ever ruled on the planet, they had a time and a chance. And when we read through the book of Revelation, we read about this beast with 7 heads and 10 horns and the 10 crowns. They were given a certain time to rule, and now we're coming down to the wire, to the ending of their rulership. Let's go real quick to Job chapter let's see, let me grab another tab. Job chapter 14. Matter of fact, let me leave this there. Let me grab that. Job chapter 14. and verse 5. It says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. So whose days are determined? Esau's days are determined. And a determination means that they have boundaries. Charatazah, which is Karatazah is also diligence. It says to cut, sharpen, decide, decree, determine, maim, move, be decisive, be mutilated. So pretty much it has been determined. There's a law, a decree that's given for their time period. So when we read that again, seeing his days are determined, meaning what? That he has a certain amount of time to rule. The number of his months are with thee. See? So the number of the months of Esau's empire, or any empire that ruled, is with the Most High. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So he can't pass the number of years the Lord gave him to rule, just like he can't pass the boundaries that the Most High has set for him. To go so far in the earth, go so far in the waters, go so far, into the sky, into space, or whatever the case may be. So they can't go beyond that. Just like you have boundaries where you have the waters and you have the land. The land was given their portion, the water was given their portion. Now when the Most High brings judgment, he allows the waters to go beyond and past that. But for the most part, there are boundaries there. And they can't go past the boundaries that the Most High set. Just like Esau and these other nations, they can't go past the boundaries that were set up for them, because that was the allotted time for them to rule. This is the book of Job, chapter 15, the very next chapter over, and the 20th verse. It says, the wicked man travaileth with pain all his days, and the number of years is hidden to the oppressor, because they really, although it's right in their face, it's plain as day in their face, they still can't see it, because that pride that they have has blinded them. The pride of the wicked has blinded them. The pride of Esau has blinded them to where he can't even see that, even though he sees the signs in his face, that he's going down, he's ignoring them, he's pushing them to the side, he's in denial. Salakia. So let's read that again. It says, the wicked man travaileth with pain all his days, and the number of years is hidden to the oppressor. And who is the oppressor? Esau. How does he oppress? Violently. And that's why the Lord said that when they cease to oppress, they shall be oppressed. When they cease to spoil, they shall be spoiled. And another way they oppress is not just physically, but also financially. And financially, people are stressed, especially Jake. A lot of Jake is stressed, financially, because this devil is a devil that keeps taking and taking and taking, because they can never have enough. And they really take from the poor. They don't really take from the rich. They mostly take from the poor, and that's just an ongoing vicious cycle that has been on the planet since the world began. And that's why the Lord is going to turn everything right side up again. So let's go from there to the same book, the book of Job, the 21st chapter, and let's start at the 17th verse. It says, how oft is the candle of the wicked put out, and how oft cometh their destruction upon them? The Most High distributeth sorrows in his anger, and that's why there's going to be sorrows, there's going to be heartaches, there's going to be heart attacks, there's going to be all different types of manner of judgments and horror and terrors upon these people when they start seeing this devastation, especially the ones that are in power, because they never think that their world is going to end. They never think that their rulership is going to end. They think that they're smarter than the Most High. They think that they're stronger than the Most High. They think that they have this thing all figured out, and they don't, because the Most High got them in a trick bag. It says they are as stubble before the wind, and as a chaff that the storm carrieth away. Because although you see them hunkered down, rooted in with strength and armies and all that, and riches and substance, they're nothing more than stubble, because the Most High is going to brush them right out the way. It says, the Most High layeth up his iniquity for his children, he rewardeth him and he shall know it. And this is why they're being prepared for judgment, because of the shit that their forefathers did, which is them that did it in the past anyway. His eyes shall see his destruction. See, so they're going to see when their system collapses and when their system falls. You know, they're going to try to hide from Yahushua when Yahushua and the angels come back. They're going to go into these shelters and try to hide and try to wait the devastation and the destruction out. And then eventually, in their warped mind, think that they're going to come back out and reestablish themselves on the planet as a ruling power again. This is how demented these devils are. And he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty, because after they serve their punishment, they're going to all these Edomites will be rounded up. Men, women, children will be all rounded up and burnt, as it states in the book of Obadiah, the first chapter, the 18th verse. And that's going to be their final judgment. And it's already written, and there's nothing that they could do about it. This is why you have these plantation Christians that are trying to wiggle out of being Edomites. They're trying to put that label Edomites on everybody else except for themselves, because they know that according to the scriptures, according to prophecy, Esau is not going to receive any mercy from the Most High. They're going to pay for what they did to us, and then after that, they're going to be rounded up and burnt. You know, so it's not a pretty future for Esau. It says, for what pleasure hath he in his house after him, when the number of his months is cut off in the midst? Because in the middle of everything, in the middle of them trying to set up this new world order and a new world agenda, that's when they're going to be cut off. That's when they're going to, the Lord is going to bring the hammer down on them, so to speak. You know, that's why it states in the book of Salaki. I thought I had it. Do I have it here? Hold on. No, that's the 21st chapter. I mean, I could go a chapter back. Let's see. Just bear with me 1 second. I just want to make sure I don't lose my spot. Job chapter 20. And right here, 20 and 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, meaning he's going to be in a position of difficulty. Because although they have all the world's goods and riches beyond, the scripture say they have more than heart can wish. But the one thing that they don't have is the power to stay in power. The inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and pretty much their rulership to all generations. But they don't have the power to stay in power. So there's going to come a point where they're going to be in a position of difficulty, because they're used to controlling, the outcome of everything. And they're going to quickly find out that they're not going to be able to do that, because they're nothing more than the clay, and the Most High is the potter. See, the Most High is the one that's giving them the ability and the power to do what they do. And they're going to come to that realization after a while that things and got so hard and so crazy that it got out of their hands. But yet still in all for that, even though they know that it's the Lord doing it, it still says that after all of the devastation and destruction, they're still not going to repent. You got to remember that these people are created to be the wicked. They are not created to be the righteous. They will not be the righteous. They will not do righteous things. They will not call upon the Most High for righteousness, because they are the devil, and that's what they were created for. So it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And this is why you see all of these uproars of the people going on around the world, because the wicked that this is speaking about those that have been defrauded in their wages. Because a lot of those protests, for the most part, is financial. And this is what's happening right now. These people are coming against them, against these different governments, which are Edomites, these Edomite governments, because of these financial situations that are happening. It says when he is about to fill his belly, meaning when he's about to finally sit back and say, you know what, this is what life is all about. We did all of this. We got everything in place. All right, now hit the button, and that's it. We got it. And then it says, when he's about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast a fury of his wrath upon him. So in other words, when they're about to establish that new world order finally, fully for every, so-called for eternity, what's going to happen is the Most High is going to devastate them. Because remember, the externalization of the hierarchy, that book, I believe that was Alice Bailey, if I'm not mistaken, that wrote that. They said in that book, if I'm not mistaken, on the history, that the nuclear missiles were only created to scare the people into accepting this new world order, not to actually be used. And I'm pretty sure if they do use it, it'll probably be limited, just like they did in Hiroshima and Nagasaki with the atomic bombs. But that weapon that they have is given to them by the Most High to bring forth their judgment, because he gave the modern day Smiths, which are the scientists, the Lord gave them that power and that technology and that knowledge to build these missiles to so-called scare the world into this new world order. But pretty much that was the Most High's way of checkmating Esau, because that very same technology that he used to bully the world with is what the Most High is going to use to judge his ass with. Wow, man. You tell me that the Most High ain't the greatest master chess player and strategist out there. It says, and the Most High, it says, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. And that's dealing with these missiles. So these missiles, along with the lasers from the chariots, but we're dealing with the missiles right now, that's going to be the end all be all. That's the checkmate of the Most High on Esau. All right. So let's go back to Job 20 and 21:21. For what pleasure hath he in his house after him, when the number of his months is cut off in the midst? Because when the number of his months is cut off in the midst, this whole empire is going to be brought down. Nothing is going to work like it used to. Everything's going to be shut down. It's going to be a reset button that the Most High is going to hit, to reset everything again. I believe Elder Sakaran did a video on that, on the word drops like honey, his channel, YouTube channel. So the Most High is about to hit the reset button on this whole, It says, so now let's go from there to the book of the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus 27, and we'll start at 26. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein. So they don't realize that although they were given the power of this missile and the power of the army and the military, which is their sword, that was set up as a pit for them, because that would be the very thing that the Lord said through the mouth of Isaac, which is Yahweh Shai, if you could receive it, that would be the blessing for Esau. And that would be the very same thing that will bring him down. Did not Yahweh Shai said, he that liveth by the sword shall die by the sword, in so many words? And that is true. That's just the truth. So it says, whoso diggeth the pit shall fall therein. So this new world order that they're trying to establish, setting up their military all over the planet, using the missiles and their power to bully the world into submission, they're going to fall into that pit, into that destruction, because the Lord is going to use that to destroy them. And he that setteth a trap shall be taken therein. So this trap that they set up, which is the so-called New World Order, they're thinking that they have the world in a trick bag, but the Most High got them in a trick bag for having the world in a trick bag. So who's really the ones that's in the trick bag? It's Esau, the international bankers. But they think that it's the other way around, that they got the world in this situation, because when you look around, it seems like their plans are working. And it seems like nothing else is working for anybody else on the planet. But the Lord got it that way because this is that great deception. The deceived and the deceiver are his, remember. It says, and he that setteth the trap shall be taken therein. He that worketh mischief, it shall fall upon him. So mischief is get ready to fall upon you Edomites, especially you international bankers. and he shall not know whence it cometh. So they're not going to know where it's going to come from. You know why it says that? Because they are used to controlling everything. They're used to, whenever something gets out of hand, or whenever something doesn't go their way, or whenever their plans are thwarted for some reason, they're used to throwing money at it, resources at it, favors and different things like that to these different individuals to get their plan back on track. But the Most High, when the Most High brings a hammer down, they're not going to know where it's coming from. Because remember, it said that the Most High is not in all their thoughts. They don't think about the Most High. They don't cry out to the Most High for help, for deliverance. They're not meek. They're not the meek of the earth. They're the proud of the earth. So the Lord is going to destroy them. But the same thought pattern and agenda that they have, which we read the definition of agenda yesterday, that same agenda and thought pattern that they have, the Most High is going to make them fall into that same trap. So now let's go from there to Jeremiah, the 1st chapter, and the 4th verse. Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. And this is why we're out there teaching the words of Yahweh Bashem Shai against the nations. And when you read the book of Jeremiah, certain parts and portions of it, it'll say against particular kings, or against this false prophet, or against the nation of Moab, or against the nation of Ammon, or against the nation of Edom, or against Damascus, or against, this city or that city, or this nation or that nation. Because we were created to be prophets unto the nations, to let them know what's coming down the pike for them. And what's coming down the pike for them is the destruction of Yahweh Bashem Shai upon them, especially America. Now jump down to the 9th verse, right? It says, Then the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth, and the Lord said unto me, Behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. This is not something that we woke up one day and you say, you know what, I'm going to decide to be a prophet. I'm just going to start reading the Bible and I'm going to go out here and prophesy. No. This is something that the Lord put in our mouth, just like he did with Jeremiah and Isaiah and Ezekiel and the rest of the prophets. So it says, See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down and to destroy and to throw down and to build and to plant. So now before we read anything else there, let's go real quick to Matthew chapter 10, and then we'll come back to that. Matthew 10 and see if I have the right 10 and 18. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. So we're going to be testifying against them. Even though this was speaking about the disciples back then, this be used to apply even till today. So the testimony is going to be against these kings and against these governors and against the Gentiles. Remember, the Lord said that give them hell pretty much until they bring you before the gates of the nobles. And when they bring us before the gates of the nobles, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to prophesy against them the things that the Lord spoke of them in the scriptures, and tell them, look, so and so and this and that's going to happen to you. Why is that going to happen? Well, because you're wicked. Look at, let's take a look at your legislation. Let's take a look, So pretty much it's going to be a testimony against them and the nations. Back in Jeremiah 1 and 10, see, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms to what? To root out. So Esau right now is being rooted out. He's being rooted out of rulership. And when something is dug in deep, you got to dig to kind of get it out. And so the Most High is digging at Esau with his words. I mean, the Most High could snap his finger and take him out just like that. But the Lord let him build up nice and fat, just like he did Pharaoh, so that when he brings a devastation on it, it could be that much more greater. So the word there is nachash, to pull up, expel, root out, pluck up. So the Lord said us to pluck up or root out these kingdoms and pull down and to destroy and to throw down and to build and to plant. Because the building and the planting is going to be who? The nation of Israel. Yahweh's kingdom, which is our kingdom, we're joint heirs with him, So now let's go from there to the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So there's a time and a season to every purpose under the heaven. So let's go real quick to Ecclesiastes 8 and just bear with me, and 5. We're going to go back to Ecclesiastes 3. Ecclesiastes 8 and 5. Whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing, and the wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. But Esau does not discern both time and judgment. They're not looking at the signs that are happening. They're not looking, the word discern is to know. They're not looking at the things that are happening on the earth. As so, you know what? I wonder if this is happening because of the wickedness that we're doing. They're not thinking like that. They don't think like that because in their mind, they know that they're right. This is the madness of Esau. It says, because to every purpose there is time and judgment. So there's a time and a judgment to every purpose under the heaven. And the purpose of Esau's kingdom has its time, has its judgment. And they are about to go down. Therefore the misery of man is great upon him, because they spent all this time and energy and years building this empire up, and then overnight it's just going to be taken out. Overnight. In 1 hour, the capital of Esau's empire is going to be wiped out from east to west, north to south. Therefore the misery of man is great upon him, for he knoweth not that which shall be. For who can tell him when it shall be? Because nobody knows the hour or the day exactly when it's going to happen. But we know that we're close because of all the signs that the Lord said. So how much less them, these devils? It says, there is no man that hath power over the spirit to retain the spirit. So they can't retain the spirit. They can't do nothing to turn this around. Neither hath he power in the day of death. So they can't stop it. And there is no discharge in that war. Neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it. So all this evil that they're doing is just going to turn around and bite them right in the ass. Pretty much. All this have I seen and applied my heart unto every work that is done under the sun. There is a time wherein one man ruleth over another to his own hurt. And boy, did they rule over us with pomp. Beginning with when, from so-called Christopher Columbus all the way until, the slave ships were brought here and everything that was done to Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Gad, Reuben, and the rest of the tribes, all the way unto this very day. And they've been very proud, and they've been very hurtful, and they've been very stout in their doings. So they're going to have to pay now. And so I saw the wicked buried, who had come and gone from the place of the holy, because their America, that big smoke cloud and the burning pitch, that's going to be left here, that's going to pretty much be their tombstone. The tombstone of Babylon the Great is going to be that smoke and the ashes, and after that dies out, the way that this land is going to look, with nothing, that's going to be their tombstone. And they were forgotten in the city where they had so done. This is also vanity, because eventually, after they serve their slavery, they're going to be forgotten about. They're going to be wiped off the memory. The only time you're going to really know about Esau is when you read the scriptures, which we're not going to have to read the scriptures because it's going to be already in us. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Why? Because there is time and judgment that's happening, but it doesn't happen right away. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't happen right away all the time. So they continue continuing to do the wickedness that they do because they're not being punished. All right, now let's go back to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 2. Let's read it again from the top. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. It's Esau's time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. It's time to pluck up and root out Esau's kingdom. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. It's time to break down Esau's kingdom. So it's being done right now verbally, spiritually. And the house, the tabernacles of David are being built up spiritually, vocally. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. And it's time for Esau to be cast away, his empire to be cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. It's time for rending. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. It's time for them to keep silence. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. And we're heading into the time of war, you know. And the Most High is waging war against Esau and against his empire. So now let's go from there to the book of Job, chapter 12, verse 13. With him is wisdom and strength. He hath counsel and understanding. Behold, he breaketh down, and it cannot be built again. So once the Most High takes his place down, it won't be able to be built again. It says, he shutteth up a man, and there can be no opening. So there can't be no opening, because the Most High is going to shut him down. You know, you heard that song, P.E. shut him down? Well, the Most High is going to shut him down. Shut him down, shut him down. You know, the Most High is going to shut him down. Behold, he withholdeth the waters, and they dry up. Also he sendeth them out, and they overturn the earth. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. So both the deceived and the deceiver are the Most High's. He created both. He set both of them up. He leadeth counselors away spoiled, and maketh the judge fools. Why? Because they think that they're going to continue on. That's why he says, you are wicked in the multitude of your counsels. Here it is, you're the judges of the earth. The earth is given into your power and into your hand. And what do? You destroy. You destroy everything. So what do you think the Most High is going to do to you? It says, he looseth the bond of kings and girdeth the loins with a girdle. And girdeth their loins with a girdle. So here it is, the Most High is about to loose the bond of kings, because they're losing their grip, and girdeth their loins with a girdle. So the Most High is the one that gives you the inner fortitude to take an empire, and he takes that inner fortitude away to lose an empire. Because that's when Esau came, he came fierce and vicious. Now the Most High is loosening those bonds. He's loosening the grip, that solid grip that Esau had on the earth. The Most High is shaking it off, shaking it from him. It says, he leadeth princes away spoiled, and overthroweth the mighty. And the Most High is the one that's going to overthrow the mighty. This is why King David said, who shall lead me into the strong city? Who shall lead me into Edom? Shall not you, O Most High, that didn't go out with our armies? So the Most High is the one that's going to give us vengeance on these devils. He removeth away the speech of the trusty, and taketh away the understanding of the aged. He poureth contempt upon princes, and weakeneth the strength of the mighty. And the Most High is the one that's breaking down, blow by blow, Esau's strength. That stranglehold that they had on the world, the Most High is breaking it and shaking it from him. He's shaking it to the foundation. You know, this is why you see all these different things happening around the world. But it's going to get to a point where it's going to be out of Esau's hands, because they're not going to be able to control everything like they do now. You know, it says he discovered deep things out of darkness, and bringeth out to light the shadow of death. He increased the nations and destroyed them. So the Most High gave them the increase. Now he's destroying them. He's destructuring them. He enlargeth the nations and straighteneth them again. And that's what's happening right now. The Lord is straightening them. He's breaking them down. He's putting them in these positions of difficulty so that they can't continue to dig their claws in, so to speak. He taketh away the heart of the chief of the people of the earth. See? So right now, Esau is the chief of the people of the earth. He's taking their heart away. He's taking their mind away, just like he did with Nebuchadnezzar. And this is why Donald Trump is the main candidate, the poster boy, so to speak, of Esau, because he's a madman. It says, and caused them to wander in a wilderness where there is no way. And they said that about Antiochus Epiphanes, that he was a madman. That was one of his names. Epimanes, I believe it is. Epimanes, which means madman. You know? So that's what was happening with these devils. And caused them to wander in the wilderness where there is no way. Just like it happened to Nebuchadnezzar. They grope in the dark without light. And he maketh them to stagger like a drunken man, because they're staggering in judgment. They're wearied in a multitude of their counsels. You know, but to the average person out there, no one can see this. So they're going to keep that stiff upper lip, because that's how Esau is. That's how he gets down. So now let's go from there to the book of Psalms. Let's go to Psalms 75 and 5. It says, lift not up yourselves on high, speak not with a stiff neck, for promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But the Most High is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. So the Most High is the one that puts people into power and takes people out of power. Why? Because it is in the power of his hand to do so. And at the end of the day, man don't rule. It's the Most High that allows them to rule. Daniel 4:17. This matters by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. So the Most High is the one that's ruling in this kingdom. He's moving the chess pieces on the chessboard as best suits him, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the bases of men. And this is why we see Esau ruling, because the Most High allowed this base man, this caveman, to rule. You know, remember we read a few, I'm not sure exactly when it was. Spirit been having me bring the scripture out a lot lately. Psalms 12 and 8. It says, the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. And they are the vilest men. There's no one that's lower than Esau. There's no one that's lower than these devils. You know, you go back to the garden. You know, the Lord told the serpent that they were cursed, which was an actual man. He said, upon your belly shall you eat dust, and you shall eat confusion, something like that. So pretty much they were going to be in a very low state. And what nation on the planet has been in that low state more than the so-called white men, the Edomites? Nobody else were cavemen like that, in that condition. You know, they were not in that condition. Their condition belonged to them. So much so that even those Arab historians that went to go visit among these Khazars, which are Edomites, said that what nasty condition they were in. You know, they would wear their underwear till they disintegrate. They'll sit, you know, talking to the different Arab historians with the chief, you know, of their village, you know, and they're talking to him, and the wife is there present. And she got her legs cracked open. You could see her junk. And she's scratching and peeling lice out of it and all kind of nasty shit like that. You know? So no one has ever been in that low state like you Edomites, you so-called white people. So you are the vilest and you are the wicked. So now let's go from there to the book of 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter. And the first verse. It says, and he said unto me, in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or even the foundation of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot, and ere the present years were sought out, or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure, And then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone, because the Most High he had the blueprint, and through none other, because the Most High didn't counsel with anybody on how he was going to create this. By me also shall they be ended, and by none other. And that's why the Most High has the ultimate say. That's why Yahushua said that the day and hour no man knows but my Father. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first? The end of what? The end of the world. What end of the end of an age, of a rulership, that unbroken age. It says, and the beginning of it that follows. So when is going to be the end of this world, of this age, of this wicked society, and the beginning of the next one that's coming, the righteous society? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, because everything revolves around Jacob and Esau. And there's a reason when that Jacob came out second and he had his hand on Esau's heel, because that was a representation how Jacob was going to bring Esau down, which Yahushua is Jacob. He's going to bring Esau down. He's going to be the one to go into the strong city, into Edom, and bind the strong man and bring him down. It says, for Esau is the end of the world. So Esau is the end of this age, the end of the seculi in Latin, or the end of the eon in Greek, or the end of the Iwalam in Hebrew, the end of that age. And Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So right now, we're waiting for Esau to fall so that Yahushua's kingdom / Israel's kingdom can be established. But it can't happen until Esau goes down. And when we read further down to the 19th verse, outside of 18, and it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth. And we see the visitation of the Lord upon the earth through what? Through these hurricanes, through all these different, catastrophes, through the financial woes, through the pestilences that are going around, the earthquakes in diverse places, and all these different things that are happening, the uproars of the peoples. We're starting to see all of this. And we'll begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness. So the Most High is making this inquisition. How is he making the inquisition? Through the mouth of his prophets. Out here, did not it say, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as has afflicted him? So this is what's happening right now. The Most High is using the prophets to bring out to Esau's face all his dirt. And when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled, because we're coming to the end of our affliction. It tells us that in the book of Lamentations, the 4th chapter. That the warfare is accomplished. Comfort ye, my people, in Isaiah 40. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem. Because now it's time for us. We're on the come up. But the only way we can come up is for Esau to go down. And they're going down, but they're going down spiritually now. And the Most High is about to bring his wrath upon them, to bring them down physically. Because he's going to be the one to enter into the strong city when he sends Yahushua back with the angels to fuck this devil up. Isaiah 34, Isaiah 63. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished. So when everything is said and done, and this world is finished, and it's ready and ripe for judgment, this is what the Lord said would be happening. Then will I show these tokens. These are the tokens that will be shown. The book shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see altogether. So what is that speaking about? That's speaking about the internet, this web, and how the Lord is using that vehicle to push this word out. So when the end of the world coming, and this place is about to be judged and about to go down, when it's finished, which has been finished since the 60s, all the way up until today. It's just been on a downward spiral. Then will I show these tokens. The book shall be opened before the firmament, meaning the Bible is going to be open before the firmament, which is the ozone layer, which is where the satellites are, where all these signals are being pushed out throughout the whole earth. And they shall see altogether. See what? See the truth. Seeing this wicked being revealed. Seeing the word going out. Now, some of them are going to accept it and some of them are not. But it doesn't matter if they accept it or not. We're still going to teach it because this is the Lord's doing. So Isaiah 14:3. So it's the same way that we know that we're at the end because the internet is here and pushing the word out throughout the four corners of the earth. And we're here speaking against this devil, cursing him out. The same way the Lord said that would be what would be taking place when he was getting ready to deliver us. Isaiah 14:3. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow. Are we not still in sorrow? And from thy fear, are we still not in fear? And from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. Did we not serve hard bondage here? Whether it was Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Gad, Reuben, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, or all the tribes from Canada all the way down to South America, suffered horrifically under this devil. So when the Lord said, when he's about to deliver us from this, this is what we will be doing. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased. So are we not doing that? Are we not out in the streets proclaiming to these devils that they're going down, that the Lord is judging them, that the Lord is bringing them down? So that means that we're almost out of here. That means that we're almost at the point where of salvation, of deliverance. And Yahweh Shai got to be right around the corner, because you got some individuals out there in Israel that's just showing their ass, man. They're just becoming reprobate beyond reprobate. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. You know? It says, the Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the ruler. So the Most High broke their staff. He broke their rulership. So once their rulership is broken, there's nothing more left than to go on a downward spiral. And this is why we see America, Babylon the Great, going down that rabbit hole. Because it's their end. They're finished. So now let's go from there to the book of Job 20. And 4, it says, knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. So their joy is going to only be for a moment. It says, though his excellency mount up to heaven, because they've been in an excellent state. They were fared sumptuously every day. They was adorned in scarlet and purple, you know, with gold. You know, they've been living it up like kings on the earth. And his head reached unto the clouds, and they've been extolled to the clouds, meaning pridefully and also physically, through their planes, helicopters, so on and so forth, space shuttles. Yet he shall perish forever like his own dung, because that's what's going to happen. Like just like when you flush shit down the toilet, it's gone. You don't see it no more. It says, they which have seen him shall say, where is he? So wait a minute, where does this devil go? He was this great, you know, who can make war with the beast, and you know, is this the man? Going from being reverenced as the Most High and Yahweh Shai and the angels and the people of the Lord, to nothing but a piece of dog shit. And that's doing a disservice to dog shit. He shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. So they're going to fall. They're going to be desolate. They're going to be gone. Matter of fact, the eye also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place any more behold him, because they're not going to govern or rule anymore. Let's go to Job 18:18. It says, he shall be driven from light into darkness and chased out of the world. And who's going to chase him out of the world? Yahweh Shai, that lion coming out of the thicket. You're going to chase this devil out of the world, because it's time for them to get the hell on up out of here. Isaiah 26:18. We have been with child, we have been in pain, we have as it were brought forth wind, we have not wrought any deliverance in the earth, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen, but we see them falling, slowly but surely. Now let's go to Psalms 21. Let's end it there. I had another precept, but you know, could wrap it up with this, because I was going to read another chapter in Job, but I hit the main point. So let's go to Psalms 21 and 1. It says, to the chief musician of a psalm of David, the king shall joy in thy strength, O Lord, and in thy salvation how greatly shall he rejoice. Thou hast given him his heart's desire, and hast not withholden the request of his lips. Selah. For thou preventest him with the blessings of goodness. Thou settest a crown of pure gold on his head. He asked life of thee, and thou gavest it him, even length of days forever and ever. His glory is great in thy salvation. Honor and majesty hast thou laid upon him. For thou hast made him most blessed forever. Thou hast made him exceeding glad with thy countenance. For the king trusteth in the Lord, and through the mercy of the Most High he shall not be moved. Thine hand shall find out all thine enemies. Thy right hand shall find out those that hate thee. And this is what's happening right now. The Lord is seeking out and searching. And this is why you see cats turning up, acting out, because the Most High is stirring them spirits are being stirred up. Hey, the scriptures must needs be fulfilled. In the latter days, some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. No reverencing men as if they were Yahushai. If I say John the Baptist is a big batch of fried fish, you pass me the hot sauce. Thou shalt make them as the fiery oven in the time of thine anger, because this is what's going to happen. And this is not just for Esau. This is also for 2/3 of Israel also. These wicked false prophets are going to suffer this too. The Most High ain't playing, man. It makes no goddamn sense. We have to go back and forth, on an issue such as that. The Lord shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them, because the Most High is going to devour them in the fire of his jealousy, because it says that in the cup of the Lord's hand there's a cup. In the Lord's hand there's a cup. And the wine is red, and it's poured out without mixture. There ain't going to be no chaser. There's going to be straight up judgment there's not going to be any form of mercy in that judgment, man. Why do you think the prophets got sick and were afraid and were nervous? Woe is me, who shall deliver me in those days? Hey, when the Lord bring that judgment, may he have mercy on us. Because that's how devastating it's going to be. You got to remember, the power of heaven, he's been holding back. So when he let it out, he's going to let it out. It's going to be vicious, man. It says, their fruit shall thou destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men. Yeah, because they're not going to rule anymore. Right now, Esau has mingled his seed throughout all the nations. He now raped, robbed, and murdered the whole planet. But everywhere where his seed is at, they're going to be found out and they're going to be destroyed. For they intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device which they are not able to perform, because you can't stop the Most High's plan. Here it is, you got a goddamn Star Wars program, a space force, because you think that when Yahushua come back, you're going to fight against him. Are you out of your goddamn mind? You must be out your goddamn mind. You're going to fight against the Lord. He said he's not going to meet thee as a man. He said you couldn't deal with that one chariot. When you try to shoot your laser at it and the chariot dusted that shit out before you could even push the button. Before you even pushed the button, the chariot was gone. So by the time you pushed the button and that damn laser came out that's moving at the speed of light, that shit look like Slowpoke Rodriguez running. Compared to the chariots, shit, they run like they go to and fro like lightning, man. What the hell is your problem? But that shows you the demented reasoning of Esau. He knows all this stuff, but yet he's like a demonic robot that just keeps going forward, But the Lord said He's gonna put the spirit in him to fight anyway. So this demonic robot called Esau, man, that's a motherfucker right there, man. That motherfucker is a real motherfucker, man. You know who's a motherfucker? The devil is a motherfucker. And he wasn't lying. He was talking about Esau, man. Inside joke. Therefore shalt thou make them turn their back when thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon thy strings against the face of them, because they're going to come fighting against the Lord, but the Lord's going to wipe them out. So that's going to be the final analysis of Esau. But be thou exalted, O Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, in thine own strength. So will we sing and praise thy power. And Barakatah Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for that. And that word for power is it's a different word than God. It's Gabawarah, which is where you get the word Gabar from, which is warrior. Strength, might, valor, bravery, mighty deeds of the Most High. So that's the end of you. That's the end of you, Esau. You're finished. You're through. Because, time, chance, and judgment happeneth to all men. You had your time to rule. Your time is up. Matter of fact, let's end with this scripture here. Excuse me. Let's end with the book of Daniel, chapter 5. Even though this was speaking about the Babylonian Empire, but the concept of what was said here applies to you, Esau, today. So it says here, Daniel 5:25, and this is the writing that was written. Many tekel upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Many. The Most High has numbered thy kingdom and finished it. So your kingdom has been numbered, Esau, and finished. And that's what we read in Isaiah 13, that her time shall no more be prolonged. So let's go to the word numbered, mana'ah, to number, reckon, to number, to appoint. So it's been reckoned, it's been appointed. There was a certain amount of time you were to rule, and that's it. So your kingdom has been numbered. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balance and are found wanting. So you've been weighed in the balance and been found wanting because you claim to be righteous. You claim to be so-called Christians. You claim to be God and Jesus Christ and all that, which those are not their names. The names are Yahweh Bashem Yahushai in the Hebrew. But you claim to be these benevolent people. But when you check out your actions and your deeds, they go totally contrary to what the Lord says. And we got the instruction book, but you don't follow the instruction book. You see? So, the Most High numbered your kingdom and finished it. And the Most High has weighed you in the balance and you're found wanting. You're found lacking. That's what the word wanting means. Lacking. Chasayar. Lacking. Wanting. Deficient. So you're deficient. And that's where the Most High is going to bring you down. He's bringing you down. He's going to bring you down completely. Now, like I said, this was dealing with ancient Babylon, but these 2 points here, the numbering of the kingdom and being found wanting, applies to Esau today. And they're going down. Their kingdom has been weighed in the balance. It's been found wanting. It's been numbered and it's been finished. And it's time for them to go. And that's why the name of the lesson is time, chance, and judgment. And just like all those empires had their chance to rule and eventually they fell, you had your chance to rule, and now it's time for you to fall. Yahweh said, I seen Satan as lightning fall from heaven. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified. Stay strong. Keep on fighting. Keep on, keep doing what you've been doing. Keep on giving this devil hell day and night with them scriptures, them precepts, them lessons. Stay in the scriptures. When you speak scripturally. Don't go on any personal attacks. Just deal with the scriptures. Let the scriptures do the talking. Let the scriptures do the walking. All you got to do is just prophesy what's written in there. Don't go outside of that, because when you go outside of that, you lose. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified, and Tawada for coming on the comment board, Tawada for all the scriptures and precepts. Shalom to the elders and the Akim. If any apostles may be watching, or any elders may be watching, shalom to the Akwath. Lord's where you've been edified. Until the next time I say shalom. Yeah, man, that motherfucker is a real motherfucker, man. You know who's a motherfucker? The devil is a motherfucker. And he wasn't lying. He was talking about Esau, man. Inside joke. Therefore shalt thou make them turn their back when thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon thy strings against the face of them, because they're going to come fighting against the Lord, but the Lord's going to wipe them out. going to be